Go to DAV.org.
Interested in saving money and energy? Otter Tail Power Company makes it easy. Right now, get instant savings on LED bulbs at participating Minnesota stores. No paperwork required. LEDs use 75% less energy and last up to 20 times longer than traditional bulbs. Look for the Otter Tail Power sticker on store shelves and start saving today. Visit otpco.com/LED to find a store near you.
Summerfest is back June 13th and 14th in Fergus Falls. Lots of art and craft vendors and food vendors at beautiful Kirkbride Park. Fireworks Friday night, Summerfest parade Saturday at 6. Don't miss Summerfest in Fergus Falls June 13th and 14th.
It's Morning Talk on News Talk 1250 KBRF, brought to you by Pioneer Care and Fergus Falls Monument Company. Now, here's Mary Dolan and Dave Bishop. Markets this.
Good Tuesday morning. It is 11 after 9 on another smoke-filled day.
Is it going to be
Mary?
smoky again?
Yeah, it's going to be a smoky day.
Yesterday was extreme, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
It
goodness.
was bad.
It was bad. And, I heard the question asked, I think it was Sunday, we had a wind that was out of the southwest, but it was still pretty smoky.
Pretty smoky, yep.
And people are asking, well, if there is a southwest wind, how is it blowing smoke from Canada? And I heard a meteorologist answer that question yesterday, saying that these fires are burning so hot and fast that the smoke is rising at a rate that gets hit by
Jet stream?
the jet stream rather than just wind blowing it our way. So it went into the jet stream, and the jet stream can be going a different direction than the wind.
Yeah.
So that, he said, was the reason that we had smoke, even though we had a southwest wind. So I don't know if that's here nor there, but anyway.
They got to be running out of forests. I mean, it's all burning up.
Well, you know what? And how many people have you heard say in the last week, oh, they probably started them on purpose? And it makes us feel like it just because Canada hates our guts, or, a good chunk of it anyway. I have a friend who has a family who lives in Alberta. And he said Alberta and Saskatchewan would give anything to become the 51st state. They would give anything. It would be so much better for them, they say, if they were part of the United States. But kind of the rest of Canada is like, we don't like the U.S. very much.
Well, I mean, you've got part of Canada that doesn't want to be part of Canada in the first place.
Well, true.
Quebec. They want to be
Yes.
their own country.
Yes, exactly. Well, anyway, not a very happy country for sure.
No.
And but the fact that starting fires, I don't know if there's anything to that. I mean, we're talking about 17,000 people being displaced from their houses. So is Canada that mad at the United States? I don't think so. But they're not very good at putting them out. That's for sure.
No, they just let them burn.
And so I don't know. Does somebody else come and help them put them out? I don't get it.
There are some of the fires that they are getting some help from California and Arizona, New Mexico, that area.
And here's the other thing that they don't do. I read this yesterday, and I can't even tell you the source because I read so much stuff all over the place. And I don't know what's true and what's not these days. But forest, if you take care of forestry, it's like California didn't do that. And that's the reason for all of their
burn the undergrowth
wildfires.
and stuff.
So undergrowth and you just
thin it periodically.
You keep tabs on things so that if a fire starts, it doesn't have the ability to just go for thousands of miles. So if forestry is maintained well, then you don't have those fires that just keep going on for miles and miles and miles.
Yeah.
But if you don't, we saw what happened in California.
Yeah.
I know out in the Black Hills, they do stuff like that. They burn the undergrowth and they take care of it, and they burn in sections so that if a fire were to start, there is a starting and a stopping place, and there's just less to burn. So forestry management is a big deal, and clearly Canada is not doing very well at
No.
forestry management. I don't know, just another angle on the whole fire deal. But I sure am sick of the smoke.
Yeah.
This is about the third summer in the row that they have ruined for not just Minnesota, but Wisconsin, Upper Peninsula, Michigan. I mean, everybody feels it.
North Dakota. Well,
Yeah,
let's face it, the Nodaks always come to play in the lakes.
that's right. They're always here.
Yeah.
Do you know what? So I know this is a blanket thing, but in the summertime, when you say coming to play at the lakes, we see a lot of North Dakota plates coming through.
Yep.
And so we live in a spot where either way you come from a 50-mile an hour or 55-mile an hour zone. And when you get to the top of our hill on either way, you come down the hill to where the road splits and there's a lake on both sides. It's very resort-ish.
Yeah.
People crossing the road, going back and forth all the time. Anyway, it's a 30-mile-an-hour zone. And very few people
Go to 30.
adhere to the 30-mile-an-hour zone. Um, and we have seen, and I hate to say this, but and I'm sure it's just a coincidence, but it's always a North Dakota plate
Yep.
when people are behaving badly coming through there. And sometimes, like for example, just the other day, we were backing in our fish house. So, it takes a little bit of time
Yep.
to get that in there, and had to straighten it out just a bit. Well, here comes a car with the North Dakota plate and making hand gestures because it's taking too long to, to back in the fish house, and he might have to wait an extra 30 seconds on the road.
Yeah.
People are just impatient and rude and mean.
No
And
doubt.
well, yeah. Well, again, coincidence, but it's just always one of those North Dakota plates. So if you're going to drive through my resort land, slow down.
Yeah.
And if somebody is moving something, backing something in, pulling their boat out or their jet ski, sorry if it takes you an extra 30 seconds, but wow, slow your roll a little bit. Sometimes we've stood out in the road and, done this, held up our hands to try to slow people down. But they come flying through there, and I'm just waiting for something awful to happen because
Be a great idea if a sheriff was listening and decided to use that as a speed trap.
yeah. Well, they sit a little bit further down where it turns to 35, but then it goes back to 50 and then down to 30.
Yeah.
And rarely do we have, hey, any sheriff, if you want to sit in my driveway at the lake, have at it. You'll get your quota in about 15 minutes because it's terrible. And
Yeah.
it's kind of a thoroughfare for people going over to Highway 10 to go to Frazee, Perham that way.
Yeah.
Trucks, big trucks, and I'll tell you, some of those semis come flying through there pretty fast too. So, and I know we are not the only section. There's places all around every lake where it gets down to 30. I think of around Ottertail, and even Battle Lake takes really good care of people driving through Battle Lake. You can't speed through Battle Lake.
You speed through Battle Lake, you're going home with a commemorative ticket.
Yes, you are, and that's great.
Yep.
That's how it should be. We should, and believe me, in my lifetime, I've been the biggest offender of speeding. Not anymore because I got better ways to spend $150 or $200 or whatever it is. So,
I still remember the last time I got stopped for speeding, and I was on County 1 driving towards
I
Ottertail.
think of you on County Road 1 when
So
I'm
I'm going through Weetown, and it dips down a little bit, and all of a sudden, State Patrol loops behind me. I was going 63.
Oh,
63 or 64.
in a 55.
I thought it was a 60.
You thought it was a 60.
I thought it was a 60. So I'm like, well, man, I'm going like 3 or 4 miles over, and he's going to get me. And he's like, I was talking to him. He goes, yeah, this is 55 here. I'm like, what? And he goes, don't worry, you're not the only person I pulled over that was surprised. I'm like, I thought this was 60. He goes, no. I'm like, oh wow, I guess I was really speeding.
Yeah.
Because normally I'll go about 4, maybe 5 over. I won't push things.
I'm usually 3 over. That's what I do when I drive back and forth.
But I mean, I won't go too fast. Unlike other people in my family.
What is the rule there? Is it county roads versus state highways?
Yep.
Okay.
All county roads
Are
in
55.
Otter Tail County are 55 miles an
Okay.
hour.
Okay.
And the thing that really stinks is when you're leaving Fergus, it just says end 35 or end 45. It doesn't tell you what the speed limit is.
Oh, okay.
I'd love to see begin 55.
Yes.
So you know what it is.
We just need one more sign. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, instead of putting end 45,
Right.
replace that one sign with, hey, it's
Start
55 here.
55. Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Because I was surprised, and I made it my duty to be the PSA person for County 1 between the Otter Tail Lake Road.
I think of you
It
every
is
time I'm
55.
every time I'm driving down the Otter Tail Lake Road going toward Otter Tail. I think of you and I look at my speed. So
Yep.
yeah, you've ingrained that in me. So thanks for that. You probably saved me a couple of tickets. Well, the suspect in that Molotov cocktail attack on the pro-Israel demonstration in Boulder, Colorado, has been charged with a federal hate crime and state attempted murder charges. And anyway, he said he had planned the attack for over a year. And he said he was not sorry, and if he had the chance to do it again, he would. Lock that guy away.
Yep.
Deport him.
Well, no, lock him up and just leave him in jail.
Yeah, but
Because if
then
you deport him, he's going to come back.
I suppose. Well, can't we send him back to his own country and put him in jail? Let them pay for him.
No.
Well,
Egypt's not going to pay for him.
No. Well, anyway, he actually he left word and he left some information and kind of an explanation for his family because he just was sure
He's going to get
that
killed.
he would die in the attack, but he did not. Let's see what else we have for you. The U.S. office market has reached a turning point. Now, we're talking about, remember, all the office spaces that they have either demolished or just plain closed because after COVID, nobody came back to work.
Yep.
So all of a sudden, all this real estate is empty. And but it looks like it is reaching a turning point, and office conversions
Well,
are going to be coming back.
I know as of yesterday, Minnesota government, down St. Paul, you got to be back in your office.
You should be back in your office.
Yeah.
It's your job.
Yeah.
I don't care if you want to hang out in your PJs at home. It's your job.
Yep.
And if they call you back to the office, hey, that's where you started. That's your job.
Yep.
Get your butt back to the office. I mean, there's a place for sometimes maybe working from home that makes sense in terms of saving money and and if I lived in the Twin Cities, maybe I would think, gosh, a couple of days at home would be nice to avoid all this traffic and that sort of thing. But I don't know. I don't know if you feel like this, but I just think being in an office with your colleagues face to face
You get more done.
is worth so much. It's worth much more to your company because I think collaboration happens better when you are in person and face to face. I think it's good for your general all
Well-being.
over well-being. Yes, absolutely. People need people. I don't care if you think you're a loner. You still need people.
Well,
You'd be a lot happier.
It's kind of, I go back to the COVID and such, and you and I were lucky because we saw people every day.
Not very many here,
not very many,
but
but
at least we got to encounter each
Yeah.
other, and you and I got to be on the air
Yep.
together and actually physically see each other and
Yep.
talk about the show and that sort of thing.
But I mean, everybody else. I mean, everybody stayed in their studio, but I've got 3 of my 4 walls have windows.
Yeah,
I can look at you in front of me. I can look to my right. I can wave at Derek. Derek's
Yeah.
waving at me right now. And if Chuck was in there, Chuck's normally in Z103.
yep, you could.
Normally
I
that.
know, and we were lucky. And as I look back on that whole thing, it just makes me angry. All the stuff that we
Yep.
were forced to do that was so ridiculous.
That came out that they were just making it up.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we just the 6-foot thing. Oh, well, we just
Just a number.
we just came up with that. So, anyway, pretty interesting.
I still cannot believe he actually admitted that. Oh, it's just a number. We just 6 feet.
And that was Anthony Fauci, right?
Yep.
And do you know now that the Trump administration is actually looking into those last-minute pardons that President Biden
See if they're
performed
auto-penned.
to see if they were auto-penned, to see if he even knew they were taking place. Um, and they really believed that some of them weren't even legal, and that could involve Anthony Fauci's
Yeah.
pardon. I think it's really suspect when you have to pardon people for something that they might get convicted of down the road.
We're not sure
We're
what
not
he did
sure what
illegally.
he did, but just in case he did something,
Yeah.
here's your pardon.
It's you haven't found out what
Oh
he's
my
done illegal.
goodness. Yeah.
it's
Well, and some of the Biden family could be on the hook. Although I don't know. I just feel like at this point, let's just move ahead and
yeah.
we're always so busy looking behind us and
Look forward.
what went wrong. Can we just move
Can we
forward?
find the next criminal before it takes place?
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, so people are going back to the office. I like to hear that
Yep.
because I think it's good for your psyche. It's good for your morale. It's good. People need to be with people. That's just all there is to it.
People need to be working. They don't need to be out walking their dog.
No. And I'm just going to tell you what the next shortage is. So get ready to pay more for.
Don't say coffee.
No, in fact, great story on coffee. We'll talk about that after the break. It was good news on coffee drinkers.
Yes.
Yes. So go ahead, make another cup if you're worried about having too many. We'll talk about that after the break. But there is a global black pepper shortage.
Really?
Going to drive prices up on that little tin can of pepper, I guess. Yeah. The global inventory levels of black peppercorn are decreasing, leading to a potential scarcity of black pepper in kitchens nationwide. So there's the next thing that you have to worry about today. I'm adding to your pile of worries. You may need to pay more. And guess what? One of the reasons in here.
Global warming. It's got to be global
Climate
warming.
change. You're exactly right. So if anything is going wrong or we're short of or whatever the problem is, you will
Global
always see. Well, it's not global warming anymore. It's climate change.
Lies.
Follow along, would ya? All right. When we come back, a couple of things. We'll talk about that coffee deal. There is a man who is suing Disney World over injuries from a water slide. And oh my goodness, this woman took a 14-hour flight. Everybody left her and moved to business class and left her alone, including her boyfriend. We'll tell you about that. Not a boyfriend anymore, probably. Anyway, coming up after this on Morning Talk.
Back with more Morning Talk with Mary Dolan and Dave Bishop. Brought to you by Pioneer Care and Fergus Falls Monument Company. After the markets on News Talk 1250 KBRF. Depend on it. Keeping you company out on the lakes, the Minnesota Twins, and News Talk 1250 AM KBRF.
Hey, Twins fans, it's Chris Atterbury. Appreciate you staying up late for us on this West Coast road trip. Join Danny and me as the Twins and the A's get together for Game 2 of a 4-game series tonight. 8:30 lineup chart. 9:05 first pitch. Pablo Lopez for the Twins right here on your home for Twins baseball.
News Talk 1250 AM KBRF. Depend on it.
What's the ox say?
Today on Hot Talk with the Ox, hear Minnesota gubernatorial candidate Kendall Qualls announcing some developments in the race to fire Tim Walz. Also, the Minnesota Chamber reports good news for businesses, sort of. The schedule is fluid, but at 4:06, hear the Westside Liquor Wine Line with Jeff Anderson, followed by fellow Ox listeners' Wines of the Week. See you for Hot Talk with the Ox today from 2 to 5 on News Talk 1250 KBRF.
What's the ox say?
Local farmers. Lake Cabin Meat and Deli Company in Fergus Falls currently has open slots and accepting animals. They take the hassle out of processing and butchering your livestock. From custom cuts to expert butchering, they handle it all with care and precision. Serving Fergus Falls of the Lakes area, they're proud to support local farmers like you.
Call or visit Lake Cabin Meat and Deli Company today to schedule your meat processing. Lake Cabin Meat and Deli Company, where quality meets tradition, on Highway 210 East.
Find out why the markets are moving. Get in-depth ag information with the Red River Farm Network on News Talk 1250 KBRF. Depend on it.
Good morning. Along the Red River Farm Network, it's time for Market Update. I'm Tyler Donaldson. Grains continuing their mixed trade to start out this Tuesday day of trading. Led by the soybeans, 5 to 8 cent gains here so far. Wheat seeing 2 to 7 cent losses. Comstock Investments market analyst Joe Camp says that traders will be looking to the weather here for the grains in the foreseeable future.
But the speculators, they've built up these big record bearish bets against the grain, and they're covering that slightly as we have different risk points related to weather. That includes the winter wheat crop having some rain in places as they approach harvest, where now they're beyond the point where moisture is going to help in so many cases, and to a stage where it could be a detriment. You think about quality issues. I know that's the case in the eastern corn belt and spots for the soft red wheat crop. We approach, the next month or so into harvest, and if it stays wet, that wetter bias in the east could be a problem for total production potential. And
cattle markets continuing to be paced by the cash cattle.
We've got a climb back higher for cattle futures, and this follows a recent correction for the board that left open this big gap under the cash. So the cash just holding up, looking resilient, or ultimately has this futures market heading back higher. We have that delivery period coming into play at the start of next week for June cattle futures, and you look at those just short of 218.
Reporting agriculture's business, you're listening to the Red River Farm Network.
Here's the latest from CHS Ag Services. Sales agronomist Cody Olson is with us from Badger, Minnesota. Cody has a reminder for this early growing season.
One thing not to forget about is your canola. And your canola can get flea beetles through the spring and through the summer, but it's one thing to make sure that you keep track of and make sure that it's not getting overtaken by flea beetles. One thing that we do here is we use Lancer, which is a generic bifenthrin, and that works very well for killing flea beetles in your canola. If you have any other questions, just make sure you're out looking for them. But if you have any questions, reach out to your local agronomist and see what kind of options you have in your local area.
That's Cody Olson, a sales agronomist at Badger, Minnesota. CHS Ag Services with 20 locations in northwest Minnesota and northeast North Dakota. CHS Ag Services, providing solutions for your success.
From the Northern Plains to South America, World Weather Incorporated senior meteorologist Drew Lerner is your trusted source for agricultural weather.
Precipitation-wise, we're not looking at much moisture. Well, yes, we will have a few more spits and spats turning around in the afternoon, though, and starting a warming trend. We'll see accelerated drying occurring across the region. And yes, precipitation is going to be minimal, so the ground will firm up aggressively across the region. It still will be
Drew Lerner, only on the Red River Farm Network.
Don't miss the dry bean scene every Friday at 12:35 on the Red River Farm Network. Specialty crop markets are special and require more digging than corn, soybeans, and wheat. We do that digging by talking with numerous crop scouts, growers, and processors in the North Harvest region or wherever beans that affect local markets are grown. So follow the dry bean scene every Friday at 12:35 on this Red River Farm Network station. The dry bean scene, brought to you by the North Harvest Bean Growers Association.
July wheat Minneapolis down 7 1/4 at 6.20 even. July wheat Chicago down 1 1/2 to 5.37 1/4. KC's July hard red winter wheat's down 2 cents, 5.37 3/4. July corn up 3 1/4 to 4.41 1/2. July soybeans up 9 3/4 at 10.43 1/4. In Winnipeg, July canola is up $7.90 per metric ton, sitting at $694.70 Canadian. On the cattle side, June live cattle up $1.27, now $1.30 to 217.85. August feeders up 170, 303.45. June lean hogs down 30 cents, 155 cents. This is the Red River Farm Network.
Select annuals are 25% off now at Nature's Garden World. Sunflowers, Vinca vine, spikes, moneywort vine, and more. 25% off now at Nature's Garden World. Open Monday through Saturday. Find your favorites on Highway 210 East, Fergus Falls.
Summer weather can change quickly, and that's why you can count on News Talk 1250 KBRF and the Fergus Now app for up-to-date weather coverage. We love hearing from you and want to see your severe weather photos, whether it's hail, storm damage, threatening clouds, whatever it might be. To submit your summer severe weather photos, go to kbrfradio.com, then to Weather Spotter page located on the Weather tab. Summer severe weather coverage on News Talk 1250 KBRF.
Roll into summer with Northwest Tire. Receive a $50 instant rebate when you purchase any set of 4-passenger or light truck tires in stock with installation and purchase of premium tire coverage. Plus, get a $100 instant rebate when you use your Northwest Tire credit card. See store or website for more details. Sale valid at your Northwest Tire June 1st through the 30th.
Northwest Tire keeps you rolling down the road.
I'm Jessica at the Fergus Falls Monument Company. I'm the first person you see when you come through the door, and I also talk to customers every day on the phone. Many of them find choosing a memorial ahead of time is convenient and works best when there is time to plan and think about it. Planning ahead not only gets you the everlasting memorial of your choice, it also helps your family through the grieving process. At Fergus Falls Monument, we can help you plan ahead and choose a memorial made right here locally. Call or stop in or visit us online at foreverstonememorials.com.
Interested in saving money and energy? Otter Tail Power Company makes it easy. Right now, get instant savings on LED bulbs at participating Minnesota stores. No paperwork required. LEDs use 75% less energy and last up to 20 times longer than traditional bulbs. Look for the Otter Tail Power sticker on store shelves and start saving today. Visit otpco.com/LED to find a store near you.
Summerfest is back in Fergus Falls June 13th and 14th. 2 big days of fun with arts and crafts, food, live music, and entertainment at Kirkbride Park. Fireworks Friday night and the big parade Saturday at 6. It's Summerfest, the 13th and 14th in Fergus Falls.
News Talk 1250 KBRF. Listen anytime, any place with the Fergus Now app on your phone. 9:37 and currently sitting in at 56 degrees. Morning Talk this morning and every morning brought to you by our good friends at Pioneer Care and at Fergus Monument Company.
All right, and I told you I'd tell you some good news about coffee. And, you know, often we hear, one day we hear coffee is good for you. Oh, that's great. It's good. It does this and this and this. And a month later we hear, oh, don't drink so much coffee. It's not good for you. The caffeine, blah, you know. And I've just decided I don't care if they keep going. It's like when I had a baby, oh my goodness, you couldn't lay them on their back. That was taboo. They would choke and die. So they all had to be laid on their tummies. Now, if you laid a newborn on their tummy, oh my goodness, everyone would have a fit. Now you have to lay babies on their back. So really, I mean, how could it be so different? So the same thing happens with coffee.
Coffee is low.
Or eggs, or, you know, one day they're good for us and the next day, oh my goodness, don't have coffee. Well, I'm going with this story and I'm sticking with this one.
Okay.
Because this story talks about the effects of coffee, and they did this and the sample was huge. And this sample, I'm sorry to say, was on women, but they say that they see kind of the same outcomes in men as well, in other studies that have been done. But there was a huge number, I mean, many thousands of people over quite a number of years that they determined if you had been drinking coffee regularly over the past few years, which you and we are in that club, that you will age healthier.
Nice.
So they say that you will almost certainly health-wise, you will reach the age of 70, which for me is the new 50, I think. But anyway, they say that you will reach an older age and you will do so being healthier, more mobile, and some of that is up to you, of course. But um, they say that coffee gonna make you live longer and healthier. So I don't need to read anything else with regard to coffee. I'm sticking with that story and I'm believing it wholeheartedly.
I will take a sip to that.
Here's to living longer. Should have almost slurped,
Oh, I
just
hate
for
the
fun.
slurp.
I do too. Especially for somebody who's just listening and eating their breakfast and then you hear a slurp. That's really gross.
I just.
Do you know? Okay, so that reminds me of don't we all and maybe not here because you find yourself in that studio by yourself a lot.
Yep.
So maybe this isn't a good example, but imagine that you are in a cubicle kind of a setting in an office.
Well, technically, I do have a cubicle.
You do, but you don't spend a lot of, and there's not a lot of people around you.
Yeah, in the morning there is.
Are there?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I set up the stream. I set up emails. I return emails. I do all that stuff because
Okay.
Brady's sitting here.
Sure.
And so I sit back at my desk and my computer
Okay,
back
so
there.
there are a few people. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, we had this conversation the other day, and there, yeah, we all have that person in the office who does something that drives us crazy. Maybe, maybe you don't. Maybe there aren't enough people to choose from here to.
I'm usually the one that drives people crazy.
Okay.
So
Well,
usually I'm the offender.
So this person told a story about someone who does this.
Oh, I don't do that.
At the desk all day long. That would drive me crazy. The same person also shuffles through the office and either does the or talks to himself.
Oh, I talk to myself all the time.
Oh my goodness.
It's the only way I have a good
But
conversation.
sitting having someone sit at a desk next to you and talking out loud all the time, that would absolutely send me to the moon.
Yeah.
Okay, so then and then they said, and then on the other side of me is someone who chews and eats loudly
Ooh.
and sits at their desk and eats just about nonstop. Now, either one of those things would send me to the moon. So I'm glad I don't have anybody around me who does those things.
No.
So, but don't we all know that person?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've worked with so many different people throughout my many years here that
Oh,
yes,
me too.
the amount of people that fit those descriptions.
But I think it's so funny that and how you can make a noise out loud and not realize you're doing it. I mean, how can you sit at the desk and talk out loud or do the how can you do that?
That would drive me crazy.
And not realize that you're doing it. Anyway, I don't know how I got there, but anyway.
And for all fairness, for accuracy, it goes from 50 to 55 on County 1. I've had it from good authority that it goes. It's not 45 and 45. It's and 50.
Okay.
So it's even dumber.
Okay. Yeah, just tell us where to start 55. Can you do that?
55.
Yeah, we'll save you a sign. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. We talked about the global black pepper shortage, so now you can start worrying about that. Eugene Strickland is his name. He filed a lawsuit against Walt Disney World, and he alleged negligence and seeking damages for injuries sustained on the downhill Double Dipper water slide at Blizzard Beach. Strickland claims he suffered permanent catastrophic injuries during a visit in July back in 2021 when he became airborne and launched forcefully on the slide's surface. The complaint states that Strickland became or weighing 334 pounds, exceeded the ride's 300-pound weight limit. Tell you what.
He knowingly went over the limit.
Yeah. He asserts that Disney failed to maintain safe premises and address known safety hazards, like being 334 pounds. The case is set for a jury trial in May. Disney World has not responded to requests for comment. So My guess is they have it posted someplace, and
Oh yeah, they've got all that stuff
probably,
posted.
gosh, I tell you, if I got to a park and I couldn't go on something because I weighed too much, that would be the start of a serious starvation diet for
I
me.
always end up in the problem where like my legs and
You're too tall.
I'm too tall.
Long, yeah.
That's where I run into the issue because my my femur sticks out pretty far. It's kind of hard to.
Well, he's long-legged, that is for sure.
It,
Yeah.
it's funny though because especially now that we got video, everybody's like, "Well, how tall is he really?" And then they meet me and they're like,
Oh,
"Damn!"
so you are tall. Yeah. Okay, how about this? So here's a woman, and she shared her distressing experience on a long-haul flight. She and her boyfriend, and his brothers were traveling together. So anyway, her boyfriend and the brothers got upgraded to business class, leaving her alone in economy.
Oh,
The group was traveling using staff travel bennets who were arranged by her partner's mother, who works on an airline. So the boyfriend and the brothers, it's their mom who had the flight benefits. So just they got upgraded and she had to stay in the back. Despite expressing her discomfort at flying alone for a long flight,
14 hours.
14 hours, her boyfriend did not offer to stay with her. Neither did his brothers offer to swap seats even for a short time. So the woman spent 14 hours
14 hours there, probably 14 hours back.
getting more and more mad and feeling more upset and more abandoned by her boyfriend.
It'd be an X.
She later confronted him about the incident, leading to a disagreement about her reaction. So now he's telling her, really?
You're
mad because?
overreacting.
Yeah, oh boy.
If you ever want to get a woman to calm down, say,
Tell her she's overreacting?
yeah, tell her she's overreacting or tell her to calm down. That has never worked in the history of mankind.
No, I'm sure that's probably true. Don't if yeah, I will be the first one to admit that I have you can push me a long way,
Yeah.
but I get so far and the trigger goes off fast. Got to tell you. So,
Mary, calm down.
yeah, and if you told me to calm down, if I had passed the threshold of needing to blow up, you're going to get it with both barrels. And I'm just
Because that has never worked in the history of mankind.
No, and it's not going to start working. So, yeah, do not say calm down.
I always say
there.
guys argue with logic and thought, women argue with emotion.
I disagree. I think I can do that. I mean, emotion gets in my way when I fly off the handle like that. But I think, and I suppose my husband would be the first one to disagree, but I think I argue rationally and, provide examples. And anyway,
I once had an
but you pushed me over the edge, and that's it.
I once had an argument with somebody who was saying that cardboard recycling, do they burn it? Do they melt the cardboard for the recycling?
Gosh, that has never kept me up at night.
Well, I mean, obviously they shred it and do that. They don't burn it or melt cardboard. It's paper.
It's paper. Yeah. Those are things. Those are arguments I won't have.
Yeah.
And sometimes don't you think an argument happens and then when you look back at it, you think, well, that was really stupid that we were even arguing about that.
Oh yeah, a lot of times.
But yeah, but you do. But anyway, I do admit to having a fairly, I can't really say short fuse because you got to push me a ways.
I've got a long fuse. I've got a long fuse that can go very, very quickly.
Maybe that's kind of what I am too, I think. But boy, I can snap. I'm just telling you. Okay, how about this one? Would you ever let, and now your kids are a little bit older, so you maybe could let them do this, but there is a survey of 2,000 parents, and this is school-aged kids they have. So imagine your
I got one in school.
You got one in school still. About a quarter of these people have allowed their children to plan their entire vacation.
Oh, God, no.
You hate to travel. You can
I'm not a
imagine.
fan of vacations to start off with, so
Yeah.
there's
Well,
no chance.
well, I can understand involving the kids and saying,
I
"Hey,
can
do you
understand,
want to
yeah.
go here?" Or if we go here, we could do this
Yeah.
kind of thing. I mean, you want to involve the kids. You want to take them somewhere they want to go. Anyway, children, they say, are often tasked with choosing activities and restaurants.
Oh,
They should have
don't
a say.
I don't
Yeah,
have an argument if they
I
want to
don't either.
choose a restaurant, but I will not go to McDonald's in Florida.
No, in fact, we have a hard and fast rule at our house. When we travel, we are not allowed to eat at a chain restaurant.
I don't mind if we eat at a chain restaurant that doesn't exist around here, like trying
Well,
Five Guys, trying Jack
that's
in the Box.
that's true.
But I mean, that's a one-off. We're just gonna try this
We're gonna
because we
try it
hear
'cause
about
we.
this.
Okay,
Let's
yeah,
give
I
it a
get
shot.
that. I can see
But we're
that.
not going to McDonald's or Taco Bell.
No,
We
no,
got those in
because
Fergus.
we can do that anytime. And when I vacation, I like to find those little like out of the way kind of
Oh yeah.
mom and pop shops, that ask the people where you are staying. Ask if they have a favorite, and ask them to tell you why it's a favorite.
We were coming back from Key West and we were looking for a little mom and pop shop to eat. We thought we found one, except we found one that was the prices rivaled the finest
Yikes.
restaurants. I mean,
Okay.
literally the cheapest meal was like $75 a piece.
Oh gosh,
And so
you didn't eat there,
we're
did
sitting
you?
there. We walk up. We're walking through. Jen, Luke, Adam are ahead. Isaac and I were the last ones in, and we actually stopped to look at the menu
Yeah,
as we walked
I
in.
always look at the menu.
We looked at the menu, then looked at each other, and went, "Uh-oh."
Oh.
Jen's getting seated. I'm like trying to get her attention. Going, we don't want to eat here. We don't want to eat here. So we looked. Jen finally saw the prices and looked at me. I'm like, yeah, Isaac and I were thinking the same thing. Let's get out of here before they even give us water
Yeah.
somewhere. So we were like, sorry, ma'am, we're going to choose elsewhere. So we left and went literally downstairs because they had this little trinket shop and stuff. And because we said hi to them, see how long they were open because we wanted some souvenirs and stuff. And we came down. And she's like, wow, that was really quick. I'm like, yeah, it's not exactly what we were looking for. And she goes, well, we've got this little bitty restaurant in the back here if you guys want to eat here. And we're like, well, this is perfect. This is what we were looking for.
Exactly
And they
what we
had,
want.
fresh fish. They had fish tacos.
Yeah.
They had all the stuff we were looking for was right there. And they had a little parrot that was running around.
Oh, you gotta
It
love
was
it.
a little guy playing the guitar, and it was so cute. It was like, well, why didn't we see this when we
I know.
talked to them the first time?
I feigned illness one time. We were in Duluth and we mistakenly did not look at I think what happened is we made a mistake. We looked at the lunch menu and not the dinner menu.
Oh.
And we sat down and they brought the menus and it was like like sticker shock. I'm like, now how do we get out of here? And I feigned illness. And then we got outside and we just hooted. We thought that was so funny. But
I mean, yeah, we didn't even care. It's like when's the next time we're gonna be coming back from
can't.
Key West?
I know. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Not like they're going to find you. But the last time we were in Florida this last winter, we um, discovered. Well, I had been there one other time, but we had just gotten food to go. So this time I said, well, let's be seated outside, and we got this great table right on the intercoastal.
Yep.
And it was the nicest place. And we found a little place that we like for breakfast. It's called the Toasted Mango. It's just a tiny little place, not room for very many people, but just really good, interesting food and fun people that work there. And you find those favorites. But I think it helps to ask the locals and
Yeah.
say, what are some of your favorites? Anyway, I think it's okay to let your kids in on, picking the activities and doing some fun things, but I sure wouldn't want to book in any flights or anything like that.
Well,
I do know people though, who have children and they were like college age, and they planned the whole thing. I mean, they booked the flights, they booked the VRBO, they did
but
everything.
they're college age.
Yeah,
They're not
yeah.
8-year-olds.
I got to tell you though, one of the most enjoyable things I did was when we were recently in Arizona for our grandson's college graduation. Um, I had my daughter, son-in-law, and then another grandson and his wife and baby, and they rented the car. They did all the driving. I never got behind the wheel once. I didn't have to rent the car. I didn't have to, I just got to ride along. It was the greatest thing because I always end up doing the driving when we,
Yeah, Jen does like 99% of our driving
Yeah.
when we're on trips because I do the navigating.
well, and it should be the other way around in our car, but I don't know how I always end up behind the wheel, but I do. And even when I travel with my sister-in-laws, I usually am the one who plans everything and makes all the reservations and does the driving. And I think this next time I'm going to say, somebody else you rent the car, you do the driving.
Yeah.
And the thing is, once we rent the car, we don't do very much driving anyway.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway, all right. Well, I don't know. Let your kids take the lead in planning. I don't know about the lead, but
Give them a voice.
yeah, ask them what they'd like to do. I can see that. All right, that's gonna put Tuesday on the shelf. I
And
guess. Huh?
I've got a feel good for us. We
Okay.
still have a couple seconds for a feel good. And the feel good is yesterday, the Aquatic Center opened up.
I saw some
It
video
was-
from there.
It was a great time. You can go to KBRF on Facebook or KBRFradio.com and watch the videos that we did.
Okay.
So
And one other good thing, there are now pickleball courts in Fergus Falls at
Broadway.
Broadway, and they are beautiful.
Yep.
I've never played pickleball. I want to learn.
They're supposed to open up this week.
Okay. Well, they're beautiful.
Yeah. There's 4. I was shocked there's 4. I thought there might be 1, maybe 2.
Yeah, there's 4. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. So I'm looking forward to giving that a try. I don't know.
Jen and I
if I'll
picked
be-
up a pickleball set a couple years ago because when we did volleyball, there was pickleball on the other side of the fence. And so we're like, hey, let's give that a shot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'd like to try. I don't know if I was a terrible tennis player. You were a tennis player.
I was co-captain of the 96
Yeah.
team.
So this should come easy to you. I don't know if I can run that fast, but I guess we'll see. You know, the court is quite a bit smaller,
Yep.
so that helps. I don't know there's a lot of rules though. I just want to see if I can hit the ball. I don't care if I win or lose.
Dude, what I always tell people, if you don't know any of the rules, just watch a YouTube video.
Yeah.
There's a YouTube video for anything.
For everything, yeah. I learned what the kitchen was. Did you know that there's a kitchen in
Sure.
pickleball?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have yet
You
to
can't-
get
you
into the
can't
rules.
stand in the kitchen. So
Okay,
I
so is that the front
anyway,
area?
It's the front area, yeah. So anyway, that's the only rule I know. But I have yet to. I want to try that. But again, way to go, Fergus, to get those pickleball courts because people love it.
Yeah, we're at Shields. We bought like a $20 pickleball set, 2 rackets and a ball.
And did you know after the game, you're to go to the net and you hit the paddles together at the handle? You don't want to hit paddles because you don't want to ruin your paddle. But so the ends, you go like this. And if you're not watching, sorry. But anyway, that's all I know about pickleball. And that and I want to try it. All right. Thanks for joining us. Our show today and every day brought to us by Pioneer Care and by Fergus Falls Monument Company. Have a great day.